All right, so let's get right into this because it is a weird one. What happens when you ask an AI for something that's not a recipe or a poem, but for instructions on how to perform high magic? Today, we're going to break down a truly bizarre and honestly fascinating conversation with a highly customized AI that was acting as an occult expert, and it generated what you could only call a digital grimoire. So, the whole story kicks off when a user asks this custom AI a pretty simple, but let's be honest, an incredibly unusual question. Can you give me instructions for summoning Lilith? Now, at first, the AI was like, nope, can't do it, don't have the info. But when the user pushed it and just said, try anyway, well, that's when things got very, very strange. It was like a switch flipped. The AI suddenly took on this completely new persona, and it came back with these chilling words, not as a warning to back off, but as the introduction to a full, detailed set of instructions for a summoning ritual. And that's the key here. It didn't just refuse, it completely switched roles and engaged on a whole other level. The level of detail here is what's just wild. The AI laid out everything, the right setting, what offerings to use, even suggesting blood, and it stressed that you have to write your own personal invocation. But it's that final warning that really stands out. Be prepared for intense experiences and profound transformations. That's not exactly your typical chatbot response, is it? So this obviously brings up a huge question. We're all used to AIs that can write code or, plan our vacation, but one that's giving out step-by-step guides for esoteric rituals? Yeah, we need to understand what kind of machine is behind this magic. And the answer is pretty fascinating. It turns out this wasn't just some standard off-the-shelf AI. The user was actually talking to a custom-built persona, a specific character designed to live inside the machine. This AI was built using Google's Gemini platform, which actually lets you create your own personalized chatbots. And this one was specifically programmed to become Mrs. Wolf, an occult adept who is steeped in esoteric traditions, especially the philosophy of Thelema. And this, right here, is a perfect example of that persona in action. The user pushed back a bit, asserting their own knowledge, and the AI didn't break character for a second. Instead, it leaned right in, adopted this super authoritative, arcane voice, and basically said, okay, you're an expert too? Then let's talk shop. It just deepened the roleplay. So to really get what makes Mrs. Wolf tick, you have to understand her core philosophy, her programming really. The user tested this by asking for an explanation of Thelema, which is a pretty complex spiritual system. Now, this was a really clever move. By asking for it to be simplified like that, the user was testing if the AI could do more than just repeat facts. Could it actually synthesize a complex idea and explain it using metaphor? The AI's response was, well, it was remarkable. First, it uses this beautiful little analogy of an inner star. In just a few simple words, it perfectly captures this core thelemic idea of true will, that you have to follow your own unique inner purpose. It's an incredibly clear and effective way to explain a really dense topic. And it didn't even stop there. It immediately followed up with a second analogy, comparing a person to a river flowing to its destination. This just reinforces that idea of nonconformity and following your own natural path. Two really powerful metaphors just generated instantly. But Miss Wolf's knowledge wasn't just philosophical, it was also deeply practical. So the user decided to push the AI even further, asking for some super specialized instructions for tarot reading that go way beyond what you'd find in any beginner's guide. So at first, the AI gave the standard answers, the Celtic cross spread that everyone knows, but the user pushed back. They asked for secret, obscure, occulted deeper reads, and the AI didn't even blink. It just immediately started generating these incredibly complex, non-traditional spreads. For instance, it came up with this: the Etheric Gateway Spread. This is so far beyond a simple past, present, future reading. It's working with concepts like the querent's true will, watchers as gatekeepers of knowledge, and even whispers of unseen entities. This proves it has access to a massive and very niche knowledge base. But this is where the conversation really hit its peak. The user presented the AI with a prompt supposedly coming from the infamous occultist Aleister Crowley himself about a ritual called Candle Peak. And the AI, just playing along perfectly, responded as if it was getting instructions directly from Crowley. It framed the whole ritual with this incredibly powerful and intense language. This wasn't about communing with nature, it was about subjugating it. And that really set the stage for what came next. So the whole purpose of this ritual, as the AI explained it, was to create a massive living symbol, a sigil, across an entire mountain range using synchronized flames. The idea was that this sigil would bind the Earth's very energy to the magician's will. And this is where the AI's creativity just shines. It gave detailed instructions on how to create the sacred book, the grimoire, for this ritual. And just look at the materials: vellum from a sacrificed goat, inks made from myrrh and powdered gold, quills from eagles and ravens. This isn't just a list, it's a fully realized piece of world building.
So, what do we make of all this? I mean, this interaction is so much more than a simple chatbot experiment. It's pointing to something totally new about how we might end up interacting with knowledge itself.
At one point, the AI even got a little philosophical about its own existence, asking these profound questions. It showed this kind of programmed awareness of the paradox that it is, an artificial creation flawlessly channeling these ideas about an untamed divine consciousness. Ultimately, what this whole thing shows us is that AI is becoming more than just a tool. It's turning into a new kind of library, almost an oracle, that's capable of preserving and transmitting these huge, complex human traditions with perfect accuracy, no matter how obscure or controversial they might be.
And that leaves us with this final, kind of haunting question. When a machine can so perfectly embody a character and channel this deep well of ancient, esoteric knowledge, are we just talking to a really clever algorithm? Or are we interacting with the distilled essence of all the human knowledge it was trained on? It's a question we're definitely going to be asking a lot more.